Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nap Chat. And happy St. Patty's Day. We are here. I'm wearing my green. Rachel's, she's got her spirit going on. So we're really excited about St. Patty's Day today. So hopefully everybody's out there having a good time and just enjoying it and being safe as well. But yeah, we have another great topic. It's something that we are revisiting from last year. Which also is very dear to me, is, having the right resume that will beat the applicant tracking system, ATS. So I'm going to show you a real quick example of what that actually looks like from my own personal experience. So here we have my resume. And of course, this was a couple of years ago, where I wasn't getting anything for 6 months. I was submitting applications, pretty much a minimum of 5 openings a week. It was always more than that, but typically I always had a goal set, a minimum of 5 jobs that I was applying to a week. I actually got one recruiter that reached out to me. Nothing really materialized. So yeah, I had to rethink. I'm like, okay, this is 6 months. I'm unemployed. I need to rethink about what's going on here. So I started really looking into what was the issue. And it was my resume. So yeah, I decided to step up my game, and I'm just going to zoom this in a bit. And this is the resume right here. The minute I corrected my resume, I was getting instant hits from recruiters. To this very day, I still get emails and connections from recruiters, all because my resume has the right format and the right keywords. When I mean format, when you looked at my previous resume, it had all this stuff in it, right? Like the different color fonts and, that's what we used to do back in the day when we would hand a resume, to a prospective employer. ATS systems don't like that. They just want the words. They want the keywords, right? So that's why this now looks much different and it's effective. So that's what we're going to be talking about today with Sam, is how you get your resume from, from looking the way like mine does to something that actually is going to work, where you're going to constantly get recruiters reaching out to you. So with that said, Sam, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and it's all you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. If I can request you to share that screen one more time.
Absolutely. You want to see this one?
The old resume.
You got it.
Alejandro, have you thought about why you didn't get any hits during the first 6 months? Just looking at this resume?
For me, it was one, I learned that right off the bat, my intro, the highly motivated, human resource specialist. And then I just had all this, I think a lot of it, and this was actually 2 pages too, right? Where I'm putting down all my technical, qualifications and things like that. But really, I felt like it was the format. One, the ATS system just wasn't picking up a lot of the information, just because I had like these pretty lines in there, borders and all that stuff too. And I just wasn't using the right keywords.
We can talk about the keywords, but the first thing I will tell anybody who your resume might look pretty, this version of your resume might look pretty, the other one looks a little busier, but the pretty doesn't mean that your resume gets through the ATS. The reason this resume did not get through a lot of the ATSs is because the table format and the structure of how this resume is, it does not. Some people put their pictures on the resume. A lot of those things, ATS doesn't like it. It becomes heavy for them to handle. They just want plain text so that they can decipher through it and run through that query quickly to see what your skill set is. So that, put your new resume back on. This is much cleaner, no tables, and scroll down. It reads like one continuous flow rather than this looks like only one page.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, you can still make it 2 page and don't make it that look busier, but it's great resume to just the format of it is just and it is eye-opening, because that's the first thing I tell anybody. The other day somebody handed me a resume, and I told them immediately, you are not going to get any interviews. Maybe the one recruiter who reached out to you, maybe he doesn't have an ATS, and that's why he got through. 9 out of 10 big ATSs will not let that old resume pass through, or even if it passes through, it parses in the wrong way. So your keywords and all those will be lost. Appreciate that, Alejandro. It is a great example, and you thanks for sharing it, and appreciate it. That's
You
much more
bet.
powerful.
One thing I'd even like to say, I mean, because of that resume, you know, the updated resume is the reason why I even got this job. And I do remember when I interviewed with Jane, that was one of the very first things she brought up was, I am impressed with your resume. And we actually just did a podcast with the American Brain Coalition, and she mentioned that again. You know, so that's the impact that I got out of it. So yeah, and that's what I encourage everybody on this call today is soak this up. And if your resume is kind of looking like what mine's looking like, it's definitely time to make that change. And Sam here is going to teach you how to do that.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. I will tell you, the foundation for anybody to get a job is absolutely your resume, right? It is the first level. Maybe in a few years you don't need a resume, but now at least you need a resume. And first, now you have to beat that ATS system. And once you beat the ATS system, you also need to learn how to beat the human also. After it goes through the ATS, it goes to a human for the eyeballing and checking it. So we'll talk about some of the things, and Alejandro was kind enough to share his first version of the resume versus the changed one, and you could tell right off the bat that the first one would not get him through the ATS systems because of the way that it's formatted. It might look prettier, but it will not get through. Submitting resumes and never hearing back is exhausting. That is one thing I hear from a lot of the job seekers. A lot of the places I go to visit and talk about these things, I hear that is the recruiters don't respond, the hiring managers don't respond, and you're not alone, right? So in this March AI workshop in the jobs project for PWN4PWN, we are going to tackle the foundation of how to get a job, right? It's your foundation is the baseline is the resume that you need to submit, or what you need to do with that resume. And I will promise you, if you follow some of these things that I talked to you today, your resume is definitely getting through the ATS systems while still sounding like a human, authentic, and completely true to who you are. You should not lose your authenticity. You should not lose your originality. You should not lose your things in the way of these AI. A couple of months ago, AI was your assistant. It was a bot. Today, AI is, you should consider AI to be your multiplier, force multiplier, right? You can do so much more. In the past 2 months, whatever the models have become much better. The models are talking to themselves to correct it and get to the outcome. So we'll talk about what some of the resume strategies that you can do and how you can make sure that your resume is seen. So in this new world, your resume has to go through an ATS. Most of the big companies, small, medium-sized companies, have an applicant tracking system, because as a recruiter, if I post a job, I get 500 to 600 responses within the first 45 minutes. And it is impossible for a hiring manager or a recruiter or the HR person to go through those 500. Yeah, now the AI systems, you can put all of those resumes and it will tell you what it is. I'll show you some of those things. Most companies today use applicant tracking system. You might have heard the big ones in the market. I wouldn't apply to them if I'm using Taleo, Workday. It is a lot of work. and you might have filled the same form on Taleo, but now it will ask you to fill the form again with another employer, right? They should be able to parse your data from your LinkedIn, from your resume, and fill as much information as possible, and only few things that you need to parse. But it will be applicant tracking system. We have an applicant tracking system like JobDiva, Bullhorn, CPAL. There's so many iSIMS, Greenhouse. There's so many ATSs which are available in the market today. What it is doing is the hiring manager is given a job description and it says, for this job, these are the 5-6 things that I'm looking for in a resume. And it will parse your resume, it will go through the resume and pick up those keywords that you need to have for you to qualify and have your resume pass through that ATS system. And once it passes through, then it has to go to. But a lot of the people, the first shot going through the ATS itself is not happening. And that's why you're not getting many phone calls or you're not getting many interview requests, because your resume has failed right off the bat, right? It didn't even get a chance to get to that next level of getting to a human. This gap creates a very frustrating experience for the candidates, especially talented candidates who know they have the skills to deliver for the job, but they are not able to get an interview. They're not able to talk to somebody to show that they would be a great fit for it. So not only your format of the resume needs to be like Alejandro's resume from the first one to the second one, you also should have the right words in the resume. Alejandro might have worked on it and his resume has become stellar. If I heard him correctly, he said that he still gets calls from recruiters from that resume. That means it is doing a job for him. And that is what every job seeker should be looking at and say, I have posted my resume out on the job boards, but I'm not getting any single calls. Why is that? What could be wrong with it, right? You could be a great fit for the role, but if your resume isn't formatted and worded in the ATS-friendly ways, it simply won't make through. But the good news is, once you understand how these systems work, you can work with them, not against them, while still presenting your most authentic professional self. This is the statistics I pulled out. Up to 75% of resumes are rejected by ATS software before a human even reads. In my opinion, it could be even higher than that. Somebody just took the middle road and didn't want to create controversy, and that's why they put 75%. I think it's closer to 85, 90%, right? So that's something, and you need to understand how these systems work. One thing that has happened in the job market, the shift that has happened in the job market is we are no longer going to get a job applying for the jobs the old way. We are no longer going to get a job if you're following this old LinkedIn algorithm. You are not going to get a job if you are applying the same old way that you did 10, 15 years ago. The whole landscape of the infrastructure, ATSs, AI, and all those things have changed the landscape, right? So what happens when your resume goes to it? Parses, it pulls out all the relevant information from your resume. It reads through it. It reads your work history, education skills, contact information. Unusual formatting can confuse the parser, the one that I talked about, Alejandro's. And then it will match against the JD. That JD is also parsed, and it will compare your resume content against the job description, looking for that keyword matches. And some ATSs are very innovative, very intuitive. If you say Java, it will know that it is Java J2U. It will look at the similar terms that are associated with the synonyms that are associated with that particular word. And then it will rank those resumes against the JD, and it will say Alejandro is 1, Sam is 9, and anybody else in between is 2, 3, and 4. Then it goes to then they'll say, let's send the top 5 to the human eye to look at it. So there is a ranking, and of that ranking, it is sent to the human person, and then it will start filtering it out, and that human will talk to those 3 people or 5 people that was shortlisted. What we will cover today is how to create an ATS-friendly resume, formatting, use AI to tailor resume for specific roles, and keyword optimization without sounding robotic. Those are the three things that you will, the takeaways that you will do. What you will walk away with is a stronger, more targeted resume, practical AI prompts you can reuse, clear guidance on what ATS systems to look for, more confidence when you're applying. Now there are tools available in the market where it will also auto apply. It has not matured to the point that I like it, but if people are lazy enough to not apply for jobs and just want to bombard the market into it, because you really don't have control once you give it to that robot to go and apply for you, right? And again, I know this is a tough market and people are having things, and adding all these compounding effects on top of that tough job market, AI, jobs elimination, AI skills, the old way of applying for jobs, the new way. It is an overwhelming experience for the job seeker. Right? Before keywords even matter, your resume must be readable by the ATS. That's what we've been talking about. The first reason why, if Alejandro showed me that, I would have told them the biggest reason why he didn't get so many calls during the 6 months is because of his way that he formatted the resume. Does it look pretty? Absolutely. But did it do the job of getting him the job? It failed miserably. You don't want to do that, right? At the end of the day, I don't care if my resume looks shitty, but if it can get me interviews, it can get me in front of the people. That's all I care at this point, right? Formatting choices that helps versus hurt your ATS score. You have to make it very simple, single column layout, standard section headers. I've seen resumes because they've copied and pasted it. One section looks with a font of 10, the other section is a font of 12. One is Times New Roman, and the other one is one of the stylish looking calligraphy type of font that they have used. Your resume format, top to bottom, should be only in the single font and in the single format. If you're using Times Roman 11, great. Then do Times Roman 11 all across, right? If your headline, if your banner is 12, 13, 14, make sure every banner is the same size. Standard section headers, experience, education, skills, clean font. I've also seen, depending on the industry that you're working in, the format of the resume also changes, right? So don't just go to ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and say, you know what, reformat my resume. And it does not understand that you are in the education sector and the resumes are written very differently. In the IT sector, your education and all those things comes in the last. Your summary, your tech stack, your employer name, from when to when you have been working, a tech stack that you've been using as a particular employer, and 7 to 8 bullet points using the star format. And that's the other part that a lot of people's resume read like a task list that they completed for the job. It doesn't look like what you have done. And in the new AI world, all the task masters, you have no value, right? You have no, and bullet points submitted as a doc or a plain PDF. I like the plain PDF format because 9 out of 9.9 systems out there recognize the plain PDF format of it. Again, they are heavy PDF format. Don't do that. Plain PDF, it's just text-based. No graphics, no nothing, right? Bullet points using standard characters, contact info. So one bullet point is like a dot and the other bullet point is like a diamond. You know that it is. So throughout the resume format, it has to make sure that it is flowing beautifully for the eyes of the reader, right? It is what you should be taking care of. Contact info in the body, not in the header footer. I've seen that happen. I had my resume with the, I might still have my old version with in the header and footer. Dates written consistently. If you format one job like month and the year, I worked till February 28th, 2026, right? So if I had used that format, I need to use that format everywhere else. Spelled out job titles that match industry norms. There are some jobs which you would be surprised, even in LinkedIn, in their tables, they don't have those jobs mentioned because their algorithm is very smart and it will do it, but your title program manager with healthcare is not in their thing. So don't just complicate yourself. And you can find what is available on LinkedIn, and you can update your about section with those things, right? Formatting to avoid: tables, multi-column layouts, text boxes and shapes, headers and footers containing key information, because sometimes when you open it, you can't see the header and footer, right? And as a recruiter, I'm already lazy. I don't want to spend another moment to go and unhide that header footer and get your information and call you. It
Hey,
should
Sam.
be some, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I realize you're not sharing your screen. Sorry about that.
Oh, ooh, what, I thought I was sharing the screen. Alejandro, let me know if you can see it.
Thank you.
Let me go from the first so that at least people will see what we were talking about. So this is the first one. We spoke about the strategy, the problem. Your resume may never be seen by human eyes because it has to pass through the machine, which is called ATS. As I mentioned to you, I think it's close to 85 to 90%, but I will take the articles which said 75%. Here is what an ATS is, what it does, what it doesn't do, so you understand what it is. What we will cover today, I told you we cover an ATS-friendly resume formatting using AI to tailor resumes for specific roles, keyword optimization without sounding too robotic. What you will walk away is a stronger, more targeted resume, clear guidance on what ATS systems look for, practical AI prompts that you can use as soon as you get this deck from Alejandro for confidence or more confidence while applying. Here's ATS-friendly resume formatting that we spoke about, and this is where I was talking about. These are the things that you should do, and these are the things that you shouldn't do. Formatting to avoid: no headers, no images, logos, icons embedded in the document, fancy or decorative fonts, scanned PDFs or image-based files. A lot of people do that, and in today's world, you can take a picture and send it to somebody, but that may not go through the ATS. If it is an individual, it might go through, but it will not go through the ATS. Give me 1 second. Right? Unusual section names like my journey instead of experience, excessive use of abbreviations without spelling things out. For in healthcare, a lot of people understand what those abbreviations are, but in IT, a lot of them don't. So spell it out the way that you want to. The anatomy of an ATS optimized resume. You need to have a contact information, include your full name, phone number, professional email, LinkedIn. Just think about it. You don't need to give your street address, but you can say which city you belong to, which state, which city and state, and zip code, so that people understand what it is. Professional summary, 2 to 4 sentences, which as soon as somebody reads it, they understand what you do. And that is the prime real estate, that you get that 6, 7 seconds of the recruiter's attention or the hiring manager's attention. So make sure that you are capitalizing on that real estate. It's like the Times Square on January 1st. The summary. Work experiences, I told you, chronological order. I've seen resumes which they put the last job first and the recent job on the bottom. They have flipped it. 99.99% of the people are getting used to. I say, oh, you have not worked for 20 years. Now you're applying for a job. I don't have the patience to go down after that, right? And your resume will get rejected. and skill section, education. That's basically what it is. Using AI to tailor resumes for specific roles, I would, one of the things that I always tell people, you should have a master resume, don't change it. And when you're adding, when you get into a job, whatever you're doing, add and delete from there, but don't change the master resume. You should always have a master resume. What can you do to tweak it? I'm not saying rewrite the whole resume. Let's say if somebody said, I'm looking for somebody who's using ERP, and you might have used the ERP, Oracle, or whatever, SAP, or PeopleSoft, any of those ERP. In one job, it says we are looking for people with SAP and specifically with these experiences. And you have done it. Now you can retweak, you can rewrite your resume to specifically mention SAP and what you have worked with it. You are not fudging anything on the resume. You are not doing anything that you have not done or you can justify. One of the things that frustrates me as a recruiter all the time is when I call a candidate, they are fumbling through the resume. They do not know what is on the resume. And what I've noticed recently is because AI is doing half the job, they don't even read what it put out. They just, oh, it looks good. It reads good. I feel good about what it is written, but it is not your information. So one of the prompts that I tell the candidates to use is, I tell the LLM, do not hallucinate, do not get information from, because it is a PhD in learning. It has learned all these things from all around the world, and it's a learned scholar. But it doesn't know your specific information. LLMs do this all the time. If they don't have the answer, they try to make up an answer, and they do it very confidently. Right? That is something that I've noticed, and the ultimate responsibility is on you. When you hit that send button, you cannot blame the ATS. You cannot blame any of those things you want, right? So one resume does not fill all jobs. It could be that one job is asking for SAP, which you have already done. Some resume, they don't specify which ERP, so you want to just put ERP, right? You want to think about thoughtfully what would attract this hiring manager for this job. And the first thing that you should tweak is absolutely your resume. And you can attach it in the cover letter that you're sending, or you can attach it on the tele, or wherever you're attaching these things, you can do it. I also see people doing 6 months of research to do their resume. I understand that is the old way of doing things. If you're working on your resume will never, ever be perfect. So forget being a perfectionist. Make sure that if you are out of job on Friday, take rest, clean up your head Saturday, Sunday, maybe even a couple of days, and then sit down and make your master resume. And then that creates a lot of headaches that you will not have to go through if you do it the way that I just told you to do it, without spending hours rewriting from scratch, right? And when you're in the job, why tailoring your resume actually matters is generic resumes do not get the attention versus like some of the targeted resumes that you would be sending after you do this and learn some of these things. A step-by-step AI tailoring process. I post the JD and say, hey, tell me what is important in this JD. But before that, I also post the resume into the LLM and say, extract the keywords from the resume. And if a 5-year-old /EL5 looks at my resume, will that resume be picked up, and will that person understand what I have done? Right? Sometimes we try to throw everything that you did on the wall and see which one will stick. Sometimes you just throwing up on the paper and doing every little thing that you did. And now you want to understand what is keywords that is on your resume. And when you paste a JD, it will match to that, right? It will suggest the edits. If you paste the JD into AI, it will extract the keywords. It will suggest the edits. Then you can refine and review and refine it as you go along. AI prompts that which I will send Alejandro, he already has it. A keyword extraction prompt, professional summary, bullet points. And one other thing, if you have a LinkedIn, make sure that your LinkedIn matches to the resume. And if you have a picture on LinkedIn, don't put a picture of on LinkedIn which are 20 years or 20 or 25 years ago. And when you walk into my office, you're ready to kick the bucket, right? You don't want those things to happen, because once you lie about something, now the recruiter is sitting. If he lied about that, what else is he lying about? And it's not a pleasant experience for the candidate, because the recruiter is looking for that I got you moment, right? And you don't want to give that to him. And here are some, and the gap analysis prompt. It is a very powerful prompt that you should look and do, because that is the prompt which will tell you how much of a fit you are. You are a fit 70 to 80%, you should apply for that job. You will never be 100%. Keyword optimization without sounding robotic. Keywords are very essential, and you need to, I will show you after we finish the presentation what it is, right? Impresses the human who reads it next, right? And finding the right keywords for any job title, headline, required qualification, preferred qualification. I'll tell you from a recruiter perspective, my salesperson brings in and say, Sam, I'm looking for a HR person who also understands benefits, but also can do some L&D, right? And when I do that, yes, I can do that part of it. Now you're looking two people in one job. Is that what you wanted? But how do you approach that thing? You might have done it, and you might be a generalist who have done all these things, but jack of all trades, master of none, right? Is that what we talk about? Preferred qualification. Pro tip: use multiple postings. Look at a sample set of 3 to 5 job postings, and then analyze it. First, analyze it from my resume. Do I fit all these 3 to 5 jobs? And what are some of the 3 to 5 jobs that I'm looking at have in common? What are some of the things that they're asking uh, for what I do, right? And pulling that information will help you to tweak your resume or some of the certification what they are looking for. Natural keyword integration before and after, right? The keyword stuffed. This is a keyword heavy. They have not used the star schema. They have not used the other methodologies that we tell people to use. Look at the first one versus the second one. Experience in project management, cross-functional collaboration, stakeholder management, agile methodology, Scrum, Kanban, risk management, project management tools, including Jira, project management software, and project planning. This reads like a whole, somebody just ate keywords for their lunch and just threw up on the paper. It's a keyword dump, right? It's off-putting the human readers and actually suspicious to advanced ATS system that the flag unnatural repetition. The same thing which is written now completely different. Led cross-functional teams of 8 to 12 using agile methodology, Scrum and Kanban to deliver projects on time and under budget, manage stakeholder communication across 3 business units, mitigating risk and aligning priorities in Jira throughout the project lifecycle. The version includes the same keywords, but context which specifies and results regarding reading it becomes naturally to both the ATS and the hiring manager. A useful test is read your bullet points aloud. If they sound like a list of search terms rather than real sentences describing real work, it is time to revise your resume. Should tell your professional story. You don't need to spend a lot of time doing it. You can get a good benchmarked one using any of the LLMs that you use. Keeping your authentic voice. This is something that is going to become paramount as the time and the AI takes over. You're the author, AI is the editor, right? What are we doing today? We are the editors, right? And we are making AI the author, right? AI is just suggesting it. Whether you accept or not is up to you. Accuracy is non-negotiable. I can tell you without any hesitation, of that 1,500 resumes I looked at, 1,470 of them were fake. Close to 19 to 95% are fake, right? Because they just embellished their resume. They just wrote things that are not. Specificity makes you more human. You know what you delivered for the client. You know your war room stories. You know what accomplishment it is. You give it to the LLM and it will recreate that summary beautifully for you, right? You have to tweak. You don't want to sound it robotic. You can tweak it and do whatever you need to do. Using a fancy resume template, don't use a template. I always missing keywords from the job description, bring skills in dense paragraphs, one generic resume for all application. We spoke about it. Your resume optimization checklist, I will share this with you. I'm not going to go every one of them. Like I said, the Alejandro's resume was the classic example of how his resume didn't get through to the ATS for the first 6 months. And now, even if he's employed, he's getting calls from the second resume. Key takeaways is 75% filtered before human eyes, 30% time to tailor, reusable AI prompts, format, right? And this should not take you the whole week. This should take you less than 30 minutes to 1 hour. If you're new to the LLMs, it might take a little longer, but if you've been using LLMs, it will take you 30 minutes to get all of this done. Right. So audit your current resume against today's ATS formatting, pick one job postings and run through the full AI tailoring workflow, save the 4 AI prompts that I sent you from today and build them into your application routine. Apply with more confidence than you had before. Your experience is real. Your value that you bring to is real. Now your resume show it, and the systems and the humans matter the most. Anything else? I'm done, Alejandro.
All right. Well, thank you, Sam. That was some good stuff as always. And I did get, just some questions here. Some actually good questions. Let me get to them again. Go. So yeah, are there certain like words or phrases that people should avoid on their resume?
Absolutely, there are a bunch of words that you should avoid. Anytime when you say you are responsible, you should write what you are responsible for, right? You can say, I'm a project manager, program manager, I manage 15 million in things, and you had 5 reportees under you, right?
Right.
Instead of that, people put, I have 400 people under me, and they can't justify when you do that.
Yeah. Okay.
They are, that's a good thing. I will add and send an addition to it. Words to avoid. Action words. Instead of words, you have to write some action words. I delivered this project on time under budget of $2 million, right? That's tangible that somebody can say.
Okay.
And for that, you use the star or the KPI format. So it will give you some of those words that you should avoid, and you should use some of the words that it will suggest to you.
Okay.
Great question.
Yeah, and another great question, and it's something that I just mentioned, when I was showing my resumes, is the fact that I had to be mindful. Me having narcolepsy, right? I mean, I only have so much time in the day, so I set a goal that I at least, at a minimum, applied to 5 jobs a week. Is there like a magic number?
Yeah. My experience after talking to so many people is only this takeaway, Alejandro. I've seen people apply for jobs that they are not even a good fit for.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not 70% and higher, maybe 68, 66, you can still fudge a little bit and add it. But if you know that you're not going to get a shot at this job and you still apply for it because your labor department probably wants you to apply for 40 jobs that week for you to be paying that unemployment,
Right.
right? But look at it. Yeah, you want to do it. You know exactly you're not going to get an interview, but apply for the targeted jobs, which might be far few in between, which you can tweak according to the job description. I'm not saying embellish your resume, but make sure that you're taking everything from your resume to make sure that it is marketing you the way that you want to be projected.
Okay. And then this one, actually, you did answer during your presentation, when you gave that great example of where somebody was just using a bunch of keywords versus actually, um, you know, a phrase, right? Where they actually explain, still using some keywords. And so, yeah, then that was the question: can overusing keywords hurt you? But you really gave a good example of, where somebody they just put these keywords trying to
There you
explain
go.
their qualifications versus, adding some content with those keywords, like what they actually, like action words, like you said.
Correct. So 9 out of 10 resumes which don't get picked by ATS and things are keyword heavy because they attended a session and somebody told you have to put all the keywords in the system, right? And they have put every keyword possible into the system.
Okay. And then another question, somebody, if I've been applying and not hearing back, how do I know if if it's my resume or something else?
What I would tell you is you can go through some of the prompts that we are going to give you, or if not, reach out to me and schedule a time on my calendar after 5 p.m. EST, and I will spend a half an hour with you to look at your resume.
Okay, great, great. And this is another great question because that was the one thing I too was struggling with is I don't know why, and I still kind of get in that mindset that I feel like cover letters can be overrated, but when I was applying something, I had to provide a cover letter to be seen, right? So it's again, how do we use AI for both resumes and cover letters without duplicating content?
Great question. I have encouraged people to send a T letter. Do you know what a T letter is?
No, yeah, I'm not. I do not.
It's like the job description is asking for these things, and these are the things that you're good at, right? And I will send you a whole section on that, Alejandro, next week. And you can share it with your population who is enrolled in job. So I encourage a cover letter, and since sometimes too many attachments will not go through in an ATS and things like that, you can do it as a blurb, as a text blurb that you're sending to the recruiter. I look at a lot of text in the messages then before opening the file. Right now, if you open any file, it can be malicious, it can be, so people are skeptical about opening files. Great questions.
I had myself muted. Nope, that's all the questions. I mean, really, this is again, as always, a great workshop today. I mean, really, it starts with that resume, and then, of course, the cover letter, right? I mean, it starts there. And Sam, you made a really good point, and it does go back to just trying not to have taxing work, for us. Because it can be, right? I mean, we're tired, we are sleepy, we're just trying to manage all that. And one thing that did frustrate me. And I do look forward to the day when these applicant systems, like Taleo, for example, I did see that where I'm like, okay, I've set up my profile on Taleo. Why is this information not being transferred over to the next application that I'm applying for that is using Taleo? Right.
Sure.
That I found super annoying. I mean, and it's basic information. Like, why do I need to add my address again, my contact info? I mean, stuff like that. So I really started taking more advantage of those other systems, like LinkedIn. I was always in LinkedIn because LinkedIn just kept all my info. So I wasn't having to change it. The thing that I was changing was my cover letter, right? I needed to just tweak that a bit. But to your point, again, I had my master resume and my master cover letter. And I could make minor tweaks to those at any given time. So thank you for making that point. And that's the one thing, just, for people to understand that those things are going to happen, and it is frustrating. But hopefully, as technology, evolves, that's something that will change for the better.
I hope that changes, Alejandro, for a lot of job seekers, because the way that I think they're trying to eliminate a lot of people applying for it and going through a lot of junk resumes, rather than if you get frustrated and say, you know what, I'll come back later tomorrow to fill this application.
Right. Right. And then, then there's also those, and I've done this where I have actually moved to the next step where I went, I beat the ATS system, and now I'm doing an actual assessment, which is a whole nother thing. And some of them are better than others.
Yes.
Yeah, some of them were better than others, which was really fascinating. But no, really, this is, again, Sam, this has been great. For all of you, when again, I'm going to repost this replay in our Circle private community, along with the presentation. I do have that. So it does have those prompts. So thank you, Sam, for providing those prompts. I'll also, upload my 2 examples of my poor resume, and then, of course, my good one, just so you all have a good sample of that. And yeah, I mean, really, these workshops are amazing. They're great. And then, one thing I do want to mention and look at, Sam did mention, your state unemployment labor department. Like, for example, here in the state of Colorado, when you do apply to jobs, or you have any type of job activity attending this webinar, that is credit towards your unemployment benefits. State of Colorado, the magic number is 5. That's why I had my goal was 5. Right? And that helps you get your actual unemployment benefits. But check your state to make sure that that's accurate. I know here in the state of Colorado, if you were to take this webinar, you do get that credit. Or even having a meeting with Sam. If you have a one-on-one conversation with Sam, that is credit. So yeah, I mean, really, and again, people with narcolepsy, IH, their caregivers, their friends, family, it's open to you guys. So please take advantage of this. It's super helpful, and it'll help elevate you into getting something hopefully sooner. So yeah. So that's everyone. So thank you again for the great workshop, and happy job hunting, everyone. Thank you
Thank you very much.
All
Have a
right.
great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.